Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
Robert Cameron, please tell me who we have on the telephonic device today.
Oh, we have one of the greats of local footy, a man who started at East Geelong, went to the Geelong Footy Club, Geelong West, bit of Bell Park, coach, administrator, radio personality, and it's probably the radio that we want to talk about most this morning. But Eric Nicholls, good morning to you.
Good morning, Rob.
Great to have you aboard. We had little Andrew Buse on as our previous guest, and I reckon at some stage in his early days when he was joined at the hip to Ray Sarcevic, you might have had a bit to do with his development too, did you?
Yes, quite a bit, yes, along with our son Lee. Those three were often in our car going to Melbourne for training, for state training, etc., but I'd like to think I had a little bit to do with Busey's start.
No, interesting character, so effervescent, bubbly, full of confidence. I guess he was always like that, and therefore good fun to be around for a mentor?
Absolutely, yeah. Never stuck for a word, and for a young fellow could hold a conversation with his elders with great ease. Yeah,
that's what I thought. He confident, easy to engage with, and as far as a coach goes, it makes a difference to those fellows that approach you and put their chin on their chest and look at their feet. They're a bit harder to get into, but he would have been a pretty willing sort of a pupil, I'd imagine. Yeah,
very good role model for some of his peers, because you're right, he would lead by example, and some of the quieter kids would suddenly grow taller just with what young Andrew might have got up to.
And he's still doing it at the age of 56 and probably continues to speak highly of you, which I know that he does. We've got you in to talk about stuff from the old days, and the Geelong District Footy League and Noel Fanning have done a lot of work to jam the website full of great games from yesteryear. You spent a bit of time in the commentary box, and it's probably, we might not talk about the footy so much, but you would have had some great memories in the commentary box, worked with some colourful characters, and I suppose had some pretty memorable Saturday afternoons with the footy almost being secondary to what else was going on.
Yes, pretty much, and I was probably fortunate to kick off the radio broadcasts of GDFL with the Pulse in the early 90s, and Noel and his group had been doing the footy on video for a number of years, and the early 90s it was sort of combined where we would do a radio broadcast in the Pulse, and that broadcast would go to Noel's tapes, and it ended up a household procedure for a lot of people.
And you worked with a bit of David Cook, a bit of Ronnie Brain, and
yes, they taught me a bit.
Yeah, they taught you a bit. And another fellow who'll probably be listening, he listens every week from down at Werribee, Grubby Cations. He masquerades as an expert commentator. Did you do a bit of work with him as well?
Did a lot of work with Grubby, and of course he really never ever forgave me initially, because I happened to coach Geelong Amateurs in 1985, and we defeated Werribee Centrals in the grand final, and Grubby, of course, had great affiliations with Werribee, but at the end of the day, a great colleague, a great friend, a great mate, and a great commentator in his own way. And we actually had, if I could just briefly, in 2004, a memorable day where I was invited by the GDFL to toss the coin for the grand final, and we're broadcasting, and Werribee Central's Corio. First week was a draw, and the second week Werribee absolutely ripped it apart, but Grubby was a great part of that.
The GDFL has sort of always been the poor cousin to the other two leagues, but you put a lot of time and effort into it. I'm sure you're aware that the importance of football to these, some outlying towns around Geelong, Werribee coming down, but also the likes of Anarchy, Inverleigh, Bannockburn, on the fringes of Geelong. But you're also very much connected originally to the East Geelong Football Club, which has done a full circle, a bit of a name change, and then back to that. So you're well aware of the importance of these clubs to communities, and I guess that was a driving force for you to be a VFL player at Geelong, but also aware of the importance of these smaller clubs around Geelong.
Oh, absolutely, Rob. at 9 years of age in 1949, I wanted desperately to play football. I lived 100 yards from Richmond Crescent, and the only football available to me was under 15, which East Geelong provided for me, and that kicked off football for me, and probably, well, still interested to this day, but not physically involved. But you're right, to go to Inverleigh, to go to Bannockburn, in more recent years to Winchelsea and so forth, a great thing. In fact, I ran across a fellow only a few weeks ago in the street, and he said, "Oh, you're missing football." And I said, "Oh, yes, you always miss football." And he said, "Oh," he said, "I used to love it when you used to come to Thompson and do the broadcast." He said, "You don't know me, but," he said, "I got to know you." And that's a wonderful feeling. And just to be able to be, I suppose, bring football into the lounge rooms of people, well, for over 20 years I did it, gave me a terrific kick. And I won't name him, but a personal friend of mine said to me one day, and it was in our GFL days in the 90s, "You know, you fellas do a fantastic job." And I thought he was just pulling my leg, and he said, "No." He said, "My dad's blind." He said, "You fellas bring the football into his lounge room every week. You tell us where it is, what the score is, and you do a wonderful job for people like that." And that really brought a tear to my eye, because I thought, well, we are doing something for the community.
Did you sort of ever keep it in the back of your mind that because football was kind to you, that you were doing it as a debt of repayment, if you like, or was it just good fun for you? Oh,
no, look, I believe I owed so much to football that I felt I needed to give it back, and to this day I would do the same. I just, from age 9 to, well, I'm 80 now, in all of those years, football has meant so much to me that, like, it gives me great joy, often on behalf of the footy club, to go and talk to different groups. To me, that's giving something back. And no, look, footy's been fantastic to me, I can assure you.
Yeah, it's very good to have you on, and I'll just remind people again that if you are attached to the GDFL, or in fact even the Newtown Footy Club, Noel's done a lot of stuff with getting Newtown videos on. Get onto the GDFL website, go back, you can pick a game. There's 160 of them on there, stretched over a 10 or 15 year period that he's done so far. There'll be a game with great memories on it, and as I said, I don't think with a crossover we'll have Eric Nicholls on it yet, but I know that Fano's working on some more to get more up there, and hopefully your era will cross over soon. Eric, thank you so much for your time this morning. Really appreciate it, and thank you very much on behalf of local football for what you have given back. You've certainly gone well and true. The game doesn't owe you anything now, and you certainly don't owe the game, so well done to you.
Thank you so much, Rob. Wonderful to be on your show. Thank you.
Yeah, good on you, mate. All the very best.